What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wildcat Dash here on Dash Sports TV. My name is Jacob Mennuti. I'm joined with my co-host Ryan Wohl. Ryan, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. It's rivalry week.
Yes, sir. It is hate week. Arizona lost again. If you didn't see it, the Wildcats gave up 24 unanswered points to lose their 11th straight game. It's such a tough scene right now for the Wildcats, and you would think that the biggest news of the week would be this 11-game losing streak, but the general mood of this team right now is not really focused on that at all because they have more important things to worry about right now, which we just said. It is Hate Week, the 94th edition of the Territorial Cup against the Arizona State Sun Devils tomorrow at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're going to get into that game a little bit later and go into detail about the previewing that game, but I want to focus on this Colorado game first. I know all the players and coaches want to move on from that game, but we want to harp on it a little bit first. So, why don't you just tell me what you saw here from this game, Ryan? What were some of your takeaways from this game against Colorado?
I thought the team overall played pretty decent, considering the circumstances of players, dropping out of the roster pretty much last week. It seemed like every day almost. They kept it close, like up until the fourth quarter. They were looking good. The offense looked very good. Gary Brightwell, Michael Wiley each had over 100 yards rushing. Michael Wiley especially 7 carries, 122 yards, which is just incredible. That was the story from the Wildcat side on offense, but the real concern is just, that they let up 407 yards rushing on the ground, and that brings it to 1,082 rushing yards in the last 4 games of the season that the Arizona Wildcats have given up, which is just disgraceful.
This game was just so winnable. Like, the defense had 3 takeaways. They had 0 the entire season, and they had 3 in this game. Like, when the defense takes the ball away that many times, you have to capitalize on it. Like, I would have never thought we were sitting here thinking that Arizona's defense was going to be better than its offense, and the defense was actually going to be playing better and helping it out. But it's the same story. It's a different week, same results. Like, it's been the offensive line play and it's been the run defense. Like, I honestly don't know why this offensive line is so bad. Like, I really don't have an explanation for it. Like, I would have looked at the 5 and be like, yeah, there's all these experienced guys. They played with each other before. Some of them are grad transfers, so they have so much experience. But they're so bad in the pass protection. Like, they were terrible on blitzes last week. Colorado just blitzed on every third down and they picked up a sack. Like, they just didn't know what to do when Colorado blitzed. And part of blitzing is not really entirely the O-line's fault. It is half of it. They have to pick it up. But part of it, you could put the blame on Will Plummer. Like, he needs to see that these dudes are stacking the box. Like, there were some of those plays on third down where Colorado wasn't. It was no secret that they were blitzing. They had 6-7 dudes in the box. Like, those dudes are gonna be blitzing. You have to call an audible. You got to go back in the shotgun, shorten those routes so that you don't get you're not on your butt in 1 second. Like, part of it is just the play calling as well. Like, if they're blitzing, call a screen or something. Like, why are we running these plays that are taking that long to develop when the blitz is coming? And the blitz is coming because they're showing blitz. Like, it's just so bad. Like, part of it is the O-line not picking up the blitz, but it's a whole effort, when you're game planning against the blitz. So it was just so bad last week. Every other play, Will Plummer was running for his life. And like, I don't know. I think another, little aspect of this is that, JJ Taylor was a really good run blocker last year. They blocked him, or excuse me, a pass blocker. They pet him in the block a lot of times, and he did really well. I don't think a lot of people really realize how good he was until he's gone. Like, sure, Gary Brightwell's fine, but JJ Taylor actually put up some good pass blocking. So I think not having him here anymore is hurting them a lot too. But just the offensive line was just my biggest takeaway. It's just so disappointing because when you don't have a good O-line, the entire offense is just flat. It just doesn't function. Like, it really doesn't matter who is your quarterback. Like, it doesn't matter if Grant Gunnell was playing in this game. I don't think the result would have been any different just because the offensive line was just so bad.
Yeah, and as you said before, the play calling was just terrible. It's just not acceptable. Like that, the one play that comes to mind is fourth and goal, like at the 1 or 2 yard line in Colorado's territory, and they like that play. Plummer dropped back and threw like a slant in the back of the end zone. Like that doesn't even like I've never seen a coach draw something like that up with like 1 yard to the end zone. Either like it's mind blowing. When you're that close to the end zone, that's when you, for example, need to use the tight end. Bryce, like Woma, just have him cut across the middle or something, you know. But it's just so frustrating watching these plays. And to me, Will Plummer is not the issue. As you said, some of this it wouldn't matter that much if Grant was in, but I could argue that if Grant was in, he's to me has a better arm. Obviously, he's more accurate. He's just a better player. So, but the O line that starts all the problems with the offense. But even as with that bad O line, the running backs still somehow were just incredible. Multiple rushes over 40 yards apiece, and they were very good. And they need to continue this streak against ASU, or they won't have a shot. Because if those running backs did even half of that, they would have got destroyed and looked horrible like last week against Colorado.
Yeah, I want to complain about this run defense a little bit too. I mean, they gave up, like you said, 420 something rushing yards. 300 alone to just Jarek Bouchard, just to one running back. He had 300 yards. Like that is so inexcusable. I don't know how you let that happen. Like it's so disappointing too because it's not like Arizona was getting for 10 yards every single play. I think there was 30 something plays that went for 3 or less yards from Colorado. Like Colorado really wasn't even that good. They just had those 5 or 6 gigantic runs that just went for 40, 50, 60 yards. Like it was so bad. Like they did such a good job. And all of a sudden, they break off, like a 70-yard run, and all of a sudden they're inside the 5-yard line, and then they score the touchdown. Like it was just so disappointing to see. It was just those big chunk yards. And like when you're giving up big plays like that, it's not like that's an entire defense fault. Like it's not the D line for not, plugging the holes. It's not the linebacker because they run past the D line, and then you've got your linebackers. They run past them, you've got your secondary, and then they get past them. So it's everybody's fault when they're breaking off gigantic runs like that. So it's just so hard to pinpoint what exactly is going on with this, with this defense and why it's been having so many troubles stopping the run game. And I have to give some credit because I feel like the running backs in this conference and the ones that they played are actually really good. Demetric Felton is very good. Jarek Bouchard is very good. Stephen Carr is a very good running back. And then we know about, Washington's run game. And, their scheme is like some of the best in the conference, at least in the run game. So, I mean, sure, you can give them some credit for being a good run game, but 300 yards to one running back, that's so inexcusable. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, but as you mentioned towards the beginning, there was a bright spot, and that was Anthony Pandy. And again, at that game last week, he was everything Arizona and everyone talking about, hoped for at the beginning of the season, that he would grow into that leadership role and really prove that he can fill the role that some of his former teammates left, like Tony Fields. That one pick, the one hand grab, that was just incredible. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing because I heard before that game Arizona didn't have a takeaway this year, so that was a positive. But it's not even they're giving up a lot of points. It's really just how this team is structured right now. They don't score a lot, so the way they need to win is by winning close games, and they haven't been successful by doing that so far, as we know. So it's really the defense has been bad at times, but if I feel that if Grant was playing and the O line was a little better, they could have won a few of these games just because
I know.
that firepower that we saw in that first game against USC.
I'm a believer in this offense. I like the idea of, controlling the tempo of the game, but it only works if everything goes right for you. Like if everything goes your way. Like you have to have perfect offensive line. You can't be like you can't have a busted O line. You can't have these drop passes. Everything has to go perfectly for that offense to be successful. And like Arizona just doesn't have the talent or the mindset to really run that offense. So like I don't know, like I'm a believer in it, but I'm starting to be skeptical of it because sometimes they're down 2 scores, like, and you're just watching these dudes just run like these 3-yard slant routes, and like sure, you caught the ball for 3 yards, but you didn't do anything else after that. Like I'm a believer in this offense, but I feel like now this team is 0-4. It's like something's not working. It's not like I don't know. Like I try to sit here and be patient with it, but it's just not working. Like this defense is keeping the offense in the game. Like this defense is doing a good enough job to be winning games. So I don't know what the problem is. I mean, this offensive line obviously is part of the problem, but it's really something deeper than that. It's a shame.
Yeah, overall, actually, considering all the circumstances with this team, I would say that the offense is losing them the games technically.
100%. Yeah.
Because this defense, I expect them at the beginning of the year to be giving up 30 points at least every game, and they're not doing that. They're playing well. A few weeks ago against Washington, and just in all the matchups overall, they're getting stops when needed sometimes, and that just wasn't expected going into the season.
So, I mean, where does this team go from here now? I mean, we mentioned it earlier that, this is Arizona's 11th loss in a row. I mean, Kevin Sumlin has yet to beat ASU here in his time in Tucson. So, I mean, this game feels so important. Like, it was really interesting last year, at the end of the ASU game last year, Dave Hickey, if you remember, he called the press conference at the end of the game, to tell everyone that Kevin Sumlin's job is safe. But, I mean, like, the circumstances are so much different now. I mean, let's just play hypothetical for a minute. I mean, like, if Arizona were to lose this game again, I mean, what do you do now? Like, does Dave Hickey say something? Is the fact that he doesn't say something again, like, it would that warrant, kind of concern? Like, if he came out last year and was confident, why would you not come out this year and be confident? You know what I mean? So, like, if Arizona loses this game, like, it's going to get so ugly. So, I mean, like, where does this program go from here? I guess what I'm trying to get at is just, how important is this game against ASU? I mean, what does this future look like for this program if Arizona wins or loses this game tomorrow?
To me, this game it's not that important because to me, his job, he should have been fired weeks ago. This isn't about this game, technically. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't beat ASU, so if he beat ASU, then that's a good win, the interstate battle, whatever. But to me, it doesn't matter. Win or lose, he's gone after the year. I think they're just waiting to the end of the season because of the shortened season. But really, like, if they win this game, is it like, wow, you beat ASU? First of all, ASU, they're not that good this year. They also haven't won a game, and this is only their third game of the year because of COVID-19 problems. But yeah, it's basically just waiting on when. I mean, if Hickey came out after the game, had another press conference or whatever, and said his job is safe, I would just be shocked. Either way, if they win this game, there's just no way to me that he could go into this locker room as the head coach of this football team next season.
I honestly, I have to agree with you. I mean, like, it's just so tough to go 1-5 or 0-6 and expect your job to be safe, especially the 2 previous years that he's had. But, like, I don't know. I think I disagree with you on the point about this game being important. I think this game is so important. I mean, like, they have to end this losing streak, and to end it against, the rivals ASU. Like, this ASU this game is so big. I mean, like, for the rivalry, like, they only play each other once a year. So, when you lose this game, you got to wait an entire year to get your redemption. So, like, they've lost the last couple Territorial Cups. Like, it's time to end this losing streak. And, like, to end this losing streak against ASU, I feel like would just be so huge. I don't think this game would save Kevin Sumlin's job, but it's just so much bigger for this team and for this locker room and this, just this brand of Arizona. Like, if they keep their rivals, like, that's just so demolishing, and, like, it's so, upsetting. You need something to build off of going into next season. And, like, if this team doesn't win a game this season, like, you're going into this next season with absolutely zero momentum. Like, at least going into next season, you say, okay, yeah, we had a terrible season, but at least we've got the Territorial Cup trophy and we beat our rivals ASU. Like, I think that's so important. And like, I think players know how important this is too. Like, I like that they're taking this game so seriously. Like, I mean, we saw them in the press conferences, Aaron Blackwell and Rourke Freeberg, these guys understand this rivalry. Like, they understand how it works. They know how important it is. Like, Chuck Cecil and a couple other former players have came in and given this team some prep talks in between this week. Like, this is a serious game, and I'm glad that they're taking it seriously. But like, I don't know. Everyone is just so tired of this losing streak, and to not only end it, but to end it against ASU, I just feel like that would be so big. And even moreover, like, ASU is 0-2, so if they lose this game, they're going to be 0-3 and could potentially be winless, ending the season, which would be even better for Arizona. Like, I don't know. I have to disagree that this game is not important. I think this game is so important. This is the most important game on Arizona's schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's their most important technically. We'll get into our predictions later, but Arizona State is flat out just a better football team. But on another hand, is the narrative of Kevin Sumlin and some players in press conferences coming out saying that they're still like a team together, this and that. It's false, and the facts speak. When players during game weeks are opting out because of COVID-19, it's not because of that. Like, let's be real, it's not. If they're winning football games, all these guys aren't leaving. And even further back at the beginning of the season, player like the Schooler brothers, Tony Fields, these players aren't leaving. That's just the facts. If they truly believed in this football team, believed in the coaching and where this team was going, they would have spent their last few years of eligibility in Arizona. And that's just how I feel, and I believe that's how it's going.
Yeah, I think Colin Schooler, the Schooler brothers, would have stayed if it wasn't for this pandemic. But Tony Fields, I think, was gone either way. Like, you can just see it, you can just see the writing on the wall, the way that he was talking, before this season. I mean, something is really wrong with this team. I mean, we've talked about it last week, but I want to just keep going again. Like, I've seen on Twitter a bunch of former Arizona players just complaining about the play calling and complaining about this program. That's just so bad. Like, you need the alumni to believe in this program. And if the guys who were here before now aren't believing in this program, you're doing something wrong. Like Samaje Grant, I don't know if you remember him, but he was a great football player for Arizona. He said something on Twitter that he's never even been invited to, come talk to this team and like be a part of this team. Like, that just shows you everything like that is going on in this program. Like, they're not building this program up in the right way, in my opinion. Like, you need to build off of this. You need something to build off of. Like, I think the alumni and the former players and bringing them in and explaining the importance of this game is so good. But if you're not getting these dudes involved, like Marcus Griffin is so active on Twitter. Samaje Grant was just complaining about it. I see Shun Brown. I see guys tweeting, former Arizona players tweeting about this all the time. And if everyone is talking like this, something's wrong, because these guys didn't talk, badly about this team once they're on the team. But as soon as they're out and they're not with the program anymore, then they start, giving their opinions. And that's how you know that something bad is happening within this locker room. And of course, we don't know exactly what's going on, but you can just see the writing on the wall. You can see the hints. Like, this program is not in a good shape right now. And I wish they were trying to at least build something up and at least have something to build off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they should let any alumni that wants to come in here talk to the team. Anybody. I don't care who you are. They should let anybody that's passionate about the team or wants to give a pep talk to this team. But yeah, like you said, it's about momentum and structure. It gets back to ASU. Like, ASU, they have that structure. They get good recruits. They have the good coaches in place. So their situation is basically just time, like just when it's going to happen, because they have had corona problems and such. But they do have talented players and the coaching. So and building a better program up. So building a program does take time, but as you said, it's just like it's basically at like -10 right now. Like it's not even moving up; it's moving the opposite. And I just don't I'm not positive if they win this game, the outcome will be right. Well, like if you understand that a little bit, just because like the narratives that form, like then Sumlin, if they win this game, Sumlin shouldn't be happy. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, we beat ASU, good, but right after that, but like under that, after you're a little happy, well, you should say that you're not satisfied with losing, and because they still lost, then they still lost 11 out of 12 games, which is not good.
I think it's better than nothing, right? Like this team can't keep losing. We can't keep doing this. You know what I mean? Like they need something. Like I don't care who it's against, and this game is just such a prime opportunity to build a little momentum. Like sure, this game is not going to save the entire season. This game is not going to save the future of this program, but at least it's something. It's better than nothing, right? Like I don't know. And I'm actually want to go back to one of your points that you made. Like I'm glad you brought up ASU and kind of the culture that they have up there. I mean, ASU is like they're pretty average. But the reason why there's the reputation around them is different is because of their culture and their branding, and Herm Edwards is just so outspoken in their coaching staff. Like ASU wins 5, 6, 7 games every single year. Like how much of a difference has Herm Edwards really made compared to Styles? Like I don't know. I just don't see that big of a difference. Like, but the reason why it feels like fools go and like ASU is doing better than they really are is a branding thing, and Arizona has no brand. But anyways, why don't we move on now and start previewing this game a little bit more? We've talked about how important this game is and for the direction of this program, but how do we actually think that this game is going to go? I mean, why don't we get into some predictions right now for tomorrow's game? ASU is 11.5 favorite over the Wildcats. That line has been moving and getting bigger every single day this week. I think it started out at like 7 or 8 or 9 points, and now here we are at 11 points. But what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? What are your predictions?
I've been struggling with this just because, like I said earlier, like I could easily see this being a field goal game. But then, on the other hand, if ASU picks up and plays where people expected them at the beginning of the season, I could see them blowing us out. But my gut wants to take Arizona and the points just because 11.5 is a lot, especially in the rivalry game. That's just at home. That's just tough. So I think ASU is going to win the game, but I think it's going to be within a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rivalry game, so literally anything can happen. But like, if you want to look at it, I think this game is just setting up to be the same narrative as the previous games. The downfall of this team has been the poor offensive line play and the run defense, which we've already talked about. ASU is doing both of those well right now. They're running the ball really well, and they're getting to the quarterback. They have 8 sacks in the last 2 games. Like, that's 4 sacks a game. That's nuts. Like, Arizona's offensive line is going to have their hands full. And, like, I just see this game playing out like every other game this season. Like, the previous 4 games have all been, maybe not the USC game because I don't think they have a very good running game. They're more of a run pass first. But the other 3 games, I mean, it's just been a good run game and getting to the quarterback. And Arizona has been terrible against a team who has those 2, factors, and that's their 2 best things going into this game. So I could easily see this game going the exact same way it's been every single week, where their 2 running backs just go crazy. Devontae Tranium, I mean, he's great. Like, I think he's at almost 100 yards in both games. Like, he's a good running back. Like, Arizona's going to have their hands full. Like, I can easily see this being a game that has been like it was last week and the week before and the week before that. Like, it's just setting up to be like that.
Yeah, it's just a shame that that Cannell has got hurt, and I hope he's all right. Just because I wrote an article a few weeks ago, maybe a month or 2 ago, that Grant Cannell is just the only bright spot on this football program, and that's the truth. Every week it proves it, week in and week out. Because the reality is, if he wasn't here, like if Will Plummer was the quarterback and whoever else they got coming in, this and that, whatever, they would be much more like a much bigger disaster. So, and this game, yeah, I would be shocked if Arizona won. I mean, I hope they win. I hate ASU, but They're just a flat out better football team, better quarterback, better. Their defense doesn't look that bad, and especially against us, they could be better. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to win by more than 10 points just because it's hard for me to say that about anyone unless you're a top team. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the Grant Gunnell situation is like, we've talked about, I think this problem, the problems are beyond the quarterback play, right? I think if Grant Gunnell was in this game, like I think they would still, the outcome might be a little bit different just because, Grant Gunnell, it's Grant Gunnell being in the game certainly plays a factor in the chemistry of this team, right? Like it's so deflating when Gunnell's not out there. Like at least, if you're out there and Gunnell is, out there with you, like the vibes are a little bit differently, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the problem are beyond him. I don't know how many more games they would actually be winning if Gunnell was there. Obviously he's the better quarterback compared to Will Plummer, but just from a chemistry standpoint, we harped on the Grant Gunnell, Booby Curry chemistry all season, and that was something that we were really looking forward to. We have not seen that at all, just because Gunnell's not there right now, and Booby Curry is just not being used anymore because of that. Like it's tough. Like we've seen games, this, especially the Territorial Cup, where crazy things have happened. Just look back at that 2016 game where Arizona was 2-9 and they didn't attempt a pass play that entire second half, and they still put up 55 points. Like we've seen the most ridiculous things happen in these games. So like I wouldn't be surprised to see a win, but at the same time, I'm looking at everything right now. I'm looking how Arizona is trending, and the things that ASU is doing well and the things that Arizona is not doing well. It's not a good matchup. I don't like the matchup, and I'm nervous about this game. I'm not too encouraging about this game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and last thing about Grant Gunnell is if Grant Gunnell was playing the last few games and they were losing close games, I feel like they would be building something,
Yeah.
Like they just don't. It doesn't feel like they're building anything. Like that's the concerning part with this program is with Gunnell. It's like if you see him throwing the booby here and there, and then it keeps increasing the connections, Joyner with everybody. Yeah, then next year it'll get better, and maybe the year after that, whatever. But yeah, it's just there's nothing to say. Disappointing.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like if this team was losing every single game, but Gunnell was out there and getting better, and he was showing flashes of the Booby Curry, and Majon Wright was showing flashes, and Majon Wright is, but I mean, like I feel like if Grant Gunnell was out there, and at least there was something to build off of, like you just said.
Exciting.
Like, this team just feels stuck in the mud right now. Like, and no offense to Will Plummer, but like he's a true freshman. Like nobody really expected him to be the future of this program. I mean, maybe he was a 3-star, but like everybody wanted to see Grant Gunnell. Grant Gunnell is the future of this program. Like at least if he was out there, you have something to build off of. But right now, like it's really sad. Like this team just feels stuck in the mud. They're not playing for anything. Like it's tough. It really is.
Yeah, and if he was playing, it's just exciting. Like that's what this fan base, this team needs, excitement. And that's what Anthony Pandy brings on the defensive end, and hopefully he makes some big plays like that tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we are running out of time, so I think that is where we're going to leave things off for today's show. Reminder that we are live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Ryan will be hosting Wildcat Dash tomorrow with Josh from Sun Devil Dash tomorrow, previewing the game. So if you want to check that out, come over to Wildcat Dash and check that out. We'll be doing it right before the game too, so it'll be a lot of fun. You can also check us out on our website over at dashsports.tv. That's only half of what we do. We also write columns now as part of our collaboration with Sports Pack 12. You can check them out over at sportspack12.com. You can follow us on social media as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and Spotify as well. If you don't want to see our faces, you can listen to us in your headphones as well over on Spotify. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow for a preview of the 94th edition of the Territorial Cup. Thank you, everybody.
Peace.